Hello and good evening, and welcome to today's evening talk. We've got a wonderful topic today evening, and it talks about the universal laws of life and laws of nature, and how do we synchronize ourselves with those laws. And to explain this wonderful topic, we've got Jay with us. He's come all the way from India just for a short while, few days, and really thankful to him to step in and explain to us this wonderful topic. Interestingly, he's been working in the IT sector for last 17 years and been practicing meditation for over 10 years now. It's a great privilege to welcome Jay. Please take your seat, and over to you for the wonderful topic tonight.
Good evening. Is it audible? Is it audible to team online? Okay, super. Would you all mind if we just be in silence for 30 seconds and then we start? Thank you. We have a wonderful audience. So, the topic today is universal laws. Does it sound interesting? We hear about a lot of laws, physical laws, regulatory laws imposed by government, but this is something different, isn't it? Universal laws. The laws which are not visible. Does this work? Maybe the battery. The battery. No worries. That's okay. See, a first question, that came to my mind when uh, we wanted to share about this particular topic, and it's not a session, right? It's a conversation. Are all laws physical, or there are some subtle laws? Probably they are not termed as laws, but are there any subtle laws or only physical laws imposed by government, regulatory bodies? Any idea? Any thoughts? Okay, I think I'll. Yeah. No, is that okay if I stand here? Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so law of nature. Does nature have some law? Really? Okay, let me share one good example, right? How many of us like apple? I'm sure all of us buy some fruit, right? Apple or something else. A lot of time it so happens that when we see an apple from outside, it looks beautiful, it looks wonderful, but from inside, probably little less nutritious. In some cases, it's not so good. Why does that happen? From outside, it's looking beautiful. We paid after looking at it. Why does that happen? Sorry. Okay. Any other thoughts? Yeah. So yeah, we are kind of on the right path, right? To keep it very simple and sweet, right? We started instead of doing organic farming, we started putting so much pesticides. We wanted to grow more in less time. We, We wanted to grow it quickly, but in return, what we got is not so good quality, or in return, we compromised on quality. So we went against the law of nature that anything that we saw, it should be natural, right? If you take an example of the flowers that we see nowadays, we see a lot of duplicate flowers. They look absolutely same, but do they give us the same aroma, same fragrance? Do we offer that to somebody? Take this? Not really, right? So when we break the law of nature, we have to pay for it in one or the other way, direct or indirect way. And it's not written anywhere in government manual or anywhere, right? But it's a very, very subtle thing. It's a very subtle law. Okay. Is there any law to help? This is interesting one. Is there any law for helping? We always say we should help, help is good. Yes, we should. But let me give you one example. If there is a beggar who's on the street and I give him few pounds or few pence, what happens if he buys a cigarette or something, that kind of thing? Is it good for him? Or alcohol, is it good for him? No. Is it good for us? We helped, right? Let's say I paid £3. Did I do a good deed? Probably not. Your answer can still be yes, and it's okay. There is no compulsion that you need to agree with the speaker. I mean, it's an open conversation, right? Ideally, our help should be the one where we empower the other people. We see young mothers, some of you might be mothers, right? When we have a young child, 1 year old, few months old, 1.5 year old, when they start walking, right? Yeah, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, yeah. So when a child walks manually, sorry, I just caught that manual word from there. But when a child starts walking, does he or she falls? Is mother always going to come and help him or pick him up? Why no? You should always do that, right? If help is good, always, all the time, why no? She needs help always. That's lovely to have. Wonderful. Because we want them to understand on their own, right? We want them to feel and experience on their own. So while we are trying to help, we should always think, are we empowering them or we are not empowering them? Does that sound okay? Okay. Before going through few more subtle laws, let's try and understand, is law is only about true or false? Is it only about that? Or there are some other areas, or there are some other things that we need to consider? Let me share some example again, right? There are so many climate activists. There was one very specific group, I forgot the name, but I think, yeah, it was Extinction Rebellion. It's a very UK specific. In India, we have so many examples, n number of examples, right? They were all climate activists. They wanted to bring awareness about the climate, that so many things are going wrong. And here only, right, in the central London, they blocked a lot of roads. Have you heard about this group, Extinction Rebellion? Rebellion? But did they do right? Their intention was right. Their cause was right. But do you think what they did was Absolutely right. And it's okay. You are free to disagree. It's absolutely okay. If we think really, very subtly, the cause was good, their intention was right, but when they blocked the road, they created problems, challenges, in harsh word, havoc for a few other people. Somebody wanted to go to school, they couldn't go. Somebody had to go to hospital, they had to change the route. So did they cause disharmony among people? At least I think so. And what happens with that? Right? When they created a disharmony among the people, would people support them? Those people were affected by those roadblocks. They did so many other things. There are so many examples. They went to snooker tournament and they just put some orange powder, some colored powder, so that tournament. There are so many examples that they do. And when I check their website, they have so many other events also coming up in next few months. At least there are 3 of them listed on their website. So are you going to get? Are they going to get support from everybody? Are they bringing awareness? Probably not. That's why if our intention is right, that's the first step. But we need to see the approach or the methods that we are using and the timing. We generally say one good statement, right? We should always smile. Have all of us heard that statement? Smiling is very good. We should keep smiling. We should always smile. I'm sure all of us have heard, right? But if we go to someone's funeral, if we go to someone's funeral, can we smile? No, because the timing is not right. So, law is just not about being true or false or having good intentions or right intentions. It's about the cause and the effect that it is going to have. That effect will decide whether I get the support or I do not get the support. Okay, this is an interesting one, and you can debate around it. We need to check for ourselves. Am I violating any universal law? A statement that reads, I may be violating a universal law if I don't pay attention to my deeds. In India, it's called as karma, but some of my friends in West, my colleagues, they understand the word karma. All of you understand the word karma, which means deeds. That's why it's in the bracket. So do you think if I do not know about any law, I am violating that? If we take few examples that we talked about before, if I do not know about law of help, for example, I might give money to anybody, or I might do something else. Let me compare it with one physical example for easy clarity or better understanding, right? Law of gravity, all of us have heard about it. Law of gravity. Who invented that? Who's the inventor? What's the name of the inventor? Newton, right? When he was sitting below the tree, there's a famous story. Then apple fell, then he thought, okay, what happened, etc., etc. Right? And then he invented the law of gravity. Now it's existent. If I say that I don't believe in law of gravity and I'm climbing a ladder, I claim that nothing will happen to me if I jump down. Is nothing going to happen to me? Will I have some pain, some bruises, right? So whether I know or I do not know, it has its own implications. Same is the case with anything, right? The public transport or road transport laws. I don't know, I had to buy the ticket. Is that going to work? I didn't know. How do I follow the signals? Does that work? It doesn't work. So there are chances, and we should think for our own self. There are chances that if I do not understand these subtle laws, I might be violating them unknowingly. So far, so good. Okay, this is another interesting slide. Does my habits override a law? If I'm violating a law, and I'm talking about subtle laws, not public transport or government laws or any other laws, right? All the subtle laws that we have talked about so far, why do we violate them? It's mostly out of our habit. We should think for our own self, right? Just to give few examples, one or two very famous examples. I want to control my diet or I want to do a weight loss program. Come 1st January, all of us try to have those kind of resolutions. Not all of us, but at least some of us. Somebody would think, I want to exercise daily, twice a week, every alternate day. But as soon as we see pastries, chocolates, ice creams, cookies, what do? I decided that I want to do a weight loss program. But as soon as I see chocolate in front of me, offered to me, ice creams offered to me, what do? I will just grab it and have it. Why? Because that's out of habit. I'm going to grab it and have it. One other example of habit, which is not very usual, a little unusual, out of the box example, right? And this is a real example, by the way, but I will not talk about the names and people. So, one man had a spare house. He used to live in one house and he had a spare house. His brother didn't had it. So he thought, okay, this is my brother. This is spare. Either I can put it on rent or I'll just give him. He does not have house to live. He gave him. For 10 plus years, he never charged any rent. He was doing well. He had his own business. He was well off. No problem. So he just gave it out of love and affection for the brother. Few years down the line, there were challenges, financial challenges in his business. So then he decided to sell it off. He was the owner, right? He just gave his brother on a rent and he sold it off. His brother, who was living in that house as a non paid tenant, came to him and fought with him. Why did he fought with him? Because he had a habit of living without rent, living in that place. Not only he fought with him, but he also he filed a suit. Eventually, the owner won it, but definitely he had to hire a lawyer, go through some trouble, go through some pain. So did he do the right thing? Just out of habit, he could not do the right thing. A lot of times you would have heard this statement when we talk about habit, let me hear and follow my inner voice. Have all of us heard this term? Inner voice, voice of soul. Is this known or is this unknown terminology? Okay, how many of you have heard about the soul? Okay, bearing few, almost all of you, right? But what is soul in reality and why do we need to understand what is soul? Let's see. Okay, first of all, soul is body or soul is something different? It's different. How many of you agree it is different? Okay. Because the simple analogy that I understand, is when somebody dies. All of us have seen, right? In our family, friends, the body is still here. There is something that runs the body, that governs the body, leaves the body. You can call it soul, somebody calls it energy, somebody calls it power, somebody calls it ruh, somebody calls it atma. There are so many different terminologies being used in different countries. But in simple word, it's an energy which used to run the body, which used to govern the body, left the body. And after that, we buried the body. Body was here, right? We figured out a way to bring some solution to the body because it cannot lie in the house or on the road. If it's there in house for 2 days, then we are out of the house. We can't bear that smell, right? So that energy. Somebody may question, we have not seen. How do we believe? Does any one of you have this question? I had it when I started learning meditation about 9.5 years ago, especially when you are a little highly educated, working with some big organizations. You have your own thought process, logical way of thinking. I had that. I had so many questions, and I did ask so many questions about it. Does any one of you have a question around it? The existence of the soul? If yes, there are a few things that we will discuss today, right? Phobias. A lot of people have phobia of height, phobia of water. And nothing has gone wrong with them in this birth or in this life. But they still have a phobia. Neither they have seen somebody from their close family facing any challenges. Where does that phobia come from? It comes from the past birth. That soul would have seen something would have happened with him or her that carried over in the form of vibrations with the soul. If this is too difficult to understand, second thing, we see a lot of uniquely talented individuals or children's, somebody playing a band at the age of 2, never learned it. Have you seen those kind of YouTube videos? I love to see those because they look very cute, very chubby, playing some musical instruments, right? They never learned it. Singing, lot of different talents, right? I saw a video of 4 or 5 year old child. Okay, singing, dancing, all is fine. But he was making house. He knew the process to make the house. Where is that coming from? Nobody taught. It's coming from the past birth of the soul. One other thing, and this is even more scientific, there are so many books on this. Clinically dead or near death experiences. Have you heard about this? Has anyone heard about these terminologies? There's a famous book called as Life After Life from Dr. Raymond Moody. He was a US, famous US psychotherapist. And he has so many experiences quoted in his book. What is clinically dead? Meaning somebody was in the hospital on the death bed, and as we see in the movies, there was a straight line in the machine. But suddenly, after 45 seconds or 60 seconds, 30 seconds in some cases, they awaken. So, what happened during that time period? Soul left the body. And these things are documented, by the way. You can go check, read that book. It's a very famous book. One of the bestseller of that time, Life After Life. So, especially he recorded one incident that happened with one other doctor called as Dr. John. So, the patient, he himself also was a doctor, he was a physician. He experienced this and he asked him so many questions. Dr. Raymond Moody, okay, what did you see? What happened to you? What did you feel? I'm not going to get into that story because that story can last for 45 minutes. It's very interesting story, but we don't have so much time. All those things are recorded. Past life regression, hypnotic regression. I don't know about UK, but in US, it is official. Is it official formal? Are there hypnotists here? Probably not in UK. But in US, hypnotic regression is official. There are, I would not call them doctors, there is some other terminology, but they are official hypnotic practitioners. They use hypnosis to cure some disease also. They take them in the past birth, see what happened with them, and resolve it at that level. So all these examples, and there are many more examples, right? Few other examples is child who's between 2 to 5 or between 0 to 5. Lot of times they say, in my past birth I was like this, I was like that, this was my name, this was my house address, this is where I used to work. And lot of researchers and scientists have gone back, historians have gone back and done the research whether this kind of place existed anytime in the past, whether person like this existed, his family name, his wife's name, they have proven to be true. Not one cases, more than 1,000. Not only in one country, all the continents, Europe, Asia Pacific, North America, everywhere in the world. So there are so many examples like that. Why I'm putting so much emphasis is because it is important to understand who we are. We are not just this body. That's where the solution lies, but you would know when I move ahead. Okay. One more, this is another interesting comparison which I did when I started my journey and started knowing about soul, etc. Our Darwin's famous evolution theory, what does that say? What does Darwin's theory say? Yeah, we evolved. What were we? Monkeys. Okay. At the same time, on the other side, we say that human beings is the best kind of animal or best creature in the world or most intelligent creature in the world, right? It was a theory. I'll come to that point later. But there is one other law which is law of conservation of energy. What does that say? As time passes, everything goes from higher state or higher order to disorder. Anything that we buy in our home, right? I'm wearing these shoes today. It's good today. After few months or few years, it's going to go to worst stage, right? I'll probably have to throw away one fine day. But what our friend Mr. Darwin said, human beings are the best, most knowledgeable creatures. They got evolved from something which was not the best, which was much, much lower. Monkey. Is it possible? We need to think. We need to ask ourselves. These are the questions that I asked myself. The second law, right? Law of entropy. It says energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can only be transformed from one form to other. I'm sure all of us have studied this. Some of us may remember, some of us may not remember about it. So, soul, we talked about soul or energy or power. We use so many different terminologies, right? If it's an energy, this law applies. And this law applies to all the energies. If you talk about the law of motion, kinetic energy, solar energy, we put up solar plates, right? What does it do? Solar plate takes the sun rays through solar energy, it gives us electricity. Radio energy, we have radio waves, it catches the radio energy, transforms, converts it into sound energy so that we can hear. So there are n number of examples. I'm sure all of you know about it. If soul is an energy, can it be destroyed? If we go by the law, it cannot. Of course, you are free to raise questions and debate about it. One other interesting thing that I figured out while I was going through my journey is a very basic fundamental thing. I just talked about two brief laws and the comparison with Darwin's theory, etc. Just one very basic thing. What is the difference between theory and law? Can anybody share that? What is the difference between theory and law? Mm-hmm. Correct. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
When you asked the question, what came to my mind was theory is something you've researched, but then you've also looked at it from a logical point of view, and then you've hypothesized this is what happened.
That's the word that I was looking for. You
But
have
then,
hypothesized.
yeah, and then law, it's something that is already existed. It makes logical sense, and it's also been applied previously as well.
And it's been applied. Super. You gave the two superb words that I was looking for. It is hypothesized. There are always assumptions behind law. I assume A is not equal to C, B is not equal to C, etc., etc. Right? All of us have done that in mathematics. So there are always assumptions. Law is something which has been put into practice for years, and you always get the same result. If you cross the road when there is a red light, the result is same.
There's this famous saying by Einstein: if you keep doing the same experiment time and time again and expect a different result. Yeah, something like that.
You are right, but I'm not going to use those words.
Yeah, something like that.
You're right. So this also tells us, right, that we are an energy. We have not evolved from monkey to human being. Human beings will always be. Have you ever heard in our life monkey was born or cat was born from some mother or even otherwise from some cub human being? Never heard about it. This is just a theory. So is it clear that we are not a body, we are a soul? How does soul exist? What is the scientific logic? Because it's very important to understand who we are. Soul is the decision maker. Soul has the power. There we said, listen to the voice of the soul. So first we need to understand what is soul. Okay, I understood what is soul. I understood. If I go back to previous slide, does my habit override the law? We say that, okay, let me follow my inner voice. Now I understood, okay, I am a soul. This is the problem. It's only half done. Is it complete? I still need a power to change my habit. A lot of times we know not doing exercise is not good. But do I have the power to change it? Does the soul has the power to change it? Probably not. I'm not saying definitely not, but I'm saying probably not. So we need to get that power from somewhere. And who can give us that power? Who has it in abundance? If I want to donate some money, I should have it in abundance. Only then I will donate. I'm just giving a very rough, simple example, right? Very raw example, as we say. If I myself don't have it, where would I donate it from? So, who has the abundant power? Who has so much power that he can donate or she can donate? Who in this world or earth or universe has that power? Any guesses? Sorry? Okay, God is one guess. Any other guess? Okay, Supreme Father is one more. Okay, soul. Any other guesses? Sorry? Yeah. I think all of you are more or less there, right? There are different words being used. Somebody says supreme soul. Soul means we, right? Just to share that with you. Soul means we. Human beings don't have abundance of power. Supreme soul, somebody calls it superpower, somebody calls it God, somebody calls it Allah, somebody calls it super energy, somebody calls it omnipotent. I can give another 10 names. I think these are enough. You guys are convinced, right, with these 7, 8 names. It's also an energy, a supreme energy that runs and governs the world. He has it in abundance to give it to us. Just that we should know the method to take it from Him. And meditation is the method to take it from Him. If you read this line, this is exactly copied as is from Google. You can take it, paste it, and you will get it. Right? There is an unlimited supply of everything we need, and that we can align ourselves with the natural state of being to experience it. So, when we want to connect with Supreme, when we want to take His powers, we need to align with Him. So, when we meditate, we practice I am a soul, I am an energy, I am a being. You can use the word that you like, word does not matter. The understanding matters that I am not the body. Only then you will be able to connect to the supreme energy, the superpower, the God, the Lord, etc., right? All those words. It is very important to understand. That's the first step of meditation. I am the soul. Step number 2, I connect with Supreme, take His energies. When I get His powers, when I take His energy, will I be able to change my habit? 4 slides behind, I'm not going back. We talked about changing a habit by listening to the voice of soul. If I take energy or power from Him, only then I will be able to change it. Understanding a soul, half the work is done. Complete is not done. Complete is when you connect with Supreme. Is that okay? Is that fine? Super. Thank you. So I'm just quickly going to go. We have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left, then, right? Yeah. I mean, 3 minutes for me to finish. I'm just going to quickly go through few slides, right? So we have understood, or we have kind of have an agreement among all of us about existence of God or supreme soul, power. These are some other laws which everybody talks about, right? Law of equality. All are equal. Indians will also say this. British, Americans, Russians, everybody would say this. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, everybody say this. But when will this happen? When is this possible in reality? When is this possible? If I say I am Indian, is it possible? Will Americans accept me? You don't care about Indians. Cheap people, right? They might just say that. When I am the soul, everybody on the earth is a soul. Forget about the gender, forget about the religion, forget about the nationality. When we see everybody as a soul, then we are able to see everybody as equal. And then we can say universal equality or one world, one family. This statement is there in almost all the scriptures of the world. It's there in Bible, it's there in Quran, it's there in Bhagavad Gita, it's there. It's written by a lot of other authors also who are atheists, who does not believe in anything. Right? This is a very famous and a common statement: one world, one family. It can happen only when we break those boundaries of religion, caste, nationality, etc., etc., etc. We have to get out of that. This is simple, no explanation required. Be good, do good. If we be good, if we do good, we will get good. Right? As simple as that. No explanation needed for this. Still, the unfortunate thing is, still there are fights. I'm not going to name term. All of you see the news. You have been seeing for past 1.5 year. Results are in front of us. One other law. This is something that I love, and I'm sure all of us want to be peaceful. Is there anybody who wants to have a havoc in their lives? All of us want to be peaceful. Mm-hmm. Super. I have a lovely yes. Thank you. Now I just ask simple question, right? However angry I am, let's say I'm angry right now. Can I be angry or can I stay angry for entire day? It will go away in some time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe 2 hours in some cases. Can I be angry entire day? If I put a bet, I will pay you £10,000 if you be angry for 24 hours. Can you be angry? No. Peace is a natural nature of soul, or it's a natural quality, virtue, however we term it, of soul. That's why it's important to understand soul. Sharing and caring, do I need to talk about this? No, right? That's what we learn from childhood, and we also teach our children from the childhood. This is one other interesting law of faith. How many times we have heard this statement? Faith can move mountains. There are so many stories around it. So I'm not going to get into stories in the interest of time. But even science believes that. Do we have anybody from medical fraternity here or maybe on the chat? You are right. So there's a placebo effect and nocebo effect. What does that mean? If
uh, energies in it, but patient knowing that I, as a doctor, is telling them that it's going to take away pain, they will get the effect. And that's placebo.
Correct. And the nocebo is exactly opposite. Even if you diagnose right, you give the right medicine, but if it does not believe on you, it's not going to work out. So even science, all the medical practitioners, doctors, everybody in that fraternity, everywhere in the world, these are two common terminologies being taught anywhere in the globe. One last thing, right? One last slide. We talked about so many subtle laws. Do I remember everything? My memory is not so sharp, to be honest. I like to focus on one thing, and focusing on one thing is easy for me. Focus on either of these, either the law of karma or law of deed. Whatever I'm doing, just focus on what am I. Am I doing the right thing? Is it going to help me? Is it going to help the people around me? Or even subtle, which is more subtle than law of karma, is the law of vibrations. Am I vibrating the right energy? Even while I'm thinking, positive or negative, I'm vibrating some energy which creates my aura. I'm sure you have heard all these terms. And scientifically, also, there are aura tests being done. There are hospitals who do aura tests. I don't know here, but in India, there are 4 hospitals. One of them is in Bombay. And I have seen somebody's aura test, some red color, some green color, some black color. As it goes dark, which means your aura is not so good, which means you are more negative. It's more subtle. Focus on either of these things. Either focus on law of karma, which is at a higher level, what I speak, what I do, what I think, or law of vibrations, which directly works on the roots, what I think. Forget about everything else. If you take care of this, you're sorted. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Sure. Yeah. Daksha Ben also wants to join. If you have any
Q&A, and
questions
also
or
for those of online viewers, if you have any questions, you can send it to the chat.
One question that came to my mind was, you talk about the law of vibration. So you said in the end, if you do these two law of vibrations, law of karma, then everything else will be taken care of.
right.
And from my experience, I've mainly been told about law of karma a lot, but not too much about law of vibration. So
Mhm.
from what you're speaking from today's talk, I realized they're both interrelated. The law
Correct.
of vibrations is the root, as you said,
Correct.
and then that is the action, which is law of
Yeah.
karma.
Correct. Law of vibrations, right? So basically, it's the energy that we vibrate. Now, where does energy come from? It can come from my actions, of course. It can come from what I'm talking, but it also comes from what I'm thinking. That is why when somebody comes to our home, we suddenly feel very good just by the presence of that individual, because his thought process, his aura is nice and clean. And when I suddenly see somebody walking in, probably he is little bit negative, and I start feeling that pressure or pain. That happens all the time in office. If I were to give you a very easy example, very, very easy example, when you see, some of your bosses, I would not say all of them, who are very strict, when you see them, or like their aura that is being created, the energy, the vibrations that are being created. Aura is the collection of vibrations, collection of energy, right? You start feeling. No, that's the simple example that I can share. That happens with all of us who have worked. If we start focusing on our thoughts, our energy levels, everything else is done. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, feelings? Everything is okay. Disagreements, it's all okay.
So if you've got very good vibrations, are you saying that we are not so inclined to do bad karma?
Correct? Absolutely. If my vibration field, if my energy field is perfect, my decision making will also be perfect. My understanding of situation, scenario, people will be much better. What does meditation do in simple language? When I say, I'm the soul, I connect with Supreme, I take his powers. With his powers, my decision making improves. He is not going to do any magic for me, right? He's not going to do any magic and do me a favor, but there is a clarity in my thoughts and vibrations. My decision making improves. Yes.
I have a question from our online viewer. What is karmic relation and how does it work with the law of karma?
Okay. It needs a lot of background, but I'll try to share it in summary, right? Karmic relations. Just to give a simple example, all of us have some karmic relations. That's why all of you are here, be it online, be it offline. The famous example that I always remind myself is, why were I born in a particular family? Why am I not Bill Gates' son, boss? Why am I doing all these hassles in my life? Or in India, we say Ambani, Mukesh Ambani. Some of you would have heard the name. Huh? Because we have some karmic relations with them from the past birth. That is why we were born in that family, and that is why understanding of soul is important. One other example, love at first sight, college, school, college, right? Somebody love at first sight. One of them will be, very handsome and good looking, and other will be not so good looking, probably. They don't know anything about each other. What is love at first sight? It's the karmic account that they have carried from the past. When they see each other, that just comes to the front. I think that's the simplest example and explanation of karmic account.
How does the vibration or what practice could we use to balance out those accounts?
Okay. There's a tough question from sister herself. So how do we balance those vibrations or manage those vibrations, right? As I say, the simple practice is meditation. When I am the soul, I connect with the Supreme Soul. I get his energies, I get his powers, and I'm able to manage, balance my own inner self. Listen to my inner voice of the soul. Be stable, be calm in any situation, and balance. That's why meditation, I think it probably used to be optional, but after COVID, I think it is mandatory because there's so much negativity in the world, negative vibrations in the world, that if we want to be happy, and all those vibrations affect us in one or the other way. That's why when we are in the crowd, we start behaving like a crowd. Why does stampede happen? Because we are in the crowd, somebody does something, and even though we are not that, but that energy we catch. But if I want to stay calm in that situation, if I think I am the soul, Supreme Father, Supreme Soul is with me, I have His powers, and I'm not supposed to do this. I have control over my emotions, and I wouldn't do that.
Thank you. Could you lead us into a meditation?
Okay. You mind if I sit?
Yeah, please sit.
Let me sit back. Comfortable position. You can adjust yourself if you want to the way I am doing. Be comfortable but alert at the same time. Not so much comfortable that you fall asleep, and not so alert that there's a back pain. So adjust yourself. I am feeling peace. I am a peaceful soul. I am that peaceful energy. I am powerful. I am the controller of the body. I am being of light. In the center of the forehead, see yourself as white shining star. In the center of the forehead, I am a being of light. I am peaceful. I am loveful. I am powerful. I can feel my energy. I can feel the vibrations of peace flowing into my brain. All these vibrations of peace are calming my mind. I'm feeling peaceful. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm very calm. I'm relaxed. This energy of peace is flowing into my entire body. My hands are loose, relaxed. My legs are relaxed. This entire energy of peace is flowing into my legs. I am the soul. I am the creator. I am peace. I'm relaxed. I am peaceful being. I am the being of light. I am son of supreme soul. His peaceful energy is coming into me. I am feeling more relaxed. I am feeling more energetic. Just feel those vibrations in the body for a minute. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Thank you for